and welcome to Cultural Apologists React for today, August 23rd, 2024. This is an AI-generated podcast and can make mistakes. Use it for generating possible ideas, but don't rely on it as an authoritative guide to the day's news or to the details of cultural apologetics. In the news today, Kamala Harris accepted the Democratic presidential nomination with a sweeping speech that balanced optimism with scathing criticism of Donald Trump. She vowed to prosecute the case against Trump and carry the country to a brighter and fairer future, highlighting her own unlikely path to the nomination. Harris contrasted herself with Trump, warning that his return would resurrect chaos and calamity, and condemned his efforts to overturn the 2020 election results. She pledged to stand strong with Ukraine, defend America's security and ideals, and promote equality and justice. Harris also emphasized her commitment to Israel's right to defend itself and Palestinian self-determination, calling for a hostage deal and ceasefire in Gaza. Her speech aimed to define herself as a realistic and practical leader who would govern based on common sense and equality, and she credited her sense of justice to her mother, Kamala Harris. So how might we think about this story from the standpoint of cultural apologetics? The recent speech by Kamala Harris accepting the Democratic presidential nomination offers a fascinating case study in reformed apologetics, particularly when viewed through the lens of Van Til's A Christian Theory of Knowledge, Van Til. On one hand, Harris's emphasis on justice, equality, and dignity is a laudable goal that resonates with the biblical values emphasized by Charles Hodge in his work on The Systematic Theology, Hodge. However, upon closer examination, it becomes apparent that Harris's vision for America is rooted in a fundamentally different epistemological framework than the one presented in Van Til's magnum opus. In her speech, Harris appeals to the idea of a collective communal sense of justice and equality, which seems to be based on a shared humanistic understanding of morality, Van Til. This approach is at odds with the Reformed view that true knowledge and wisdom can only be derived from Scripture, as emphasized in Van Til's work. Moreover, Harris's emphasis on Palestinian self-determination, while well-intentioned, reveals a lack of clear biblical guidance on this issue. In his commentary on the Psalms, Herman Bavinck notes the importance of considering the broader theological context when engaging with social and political issues, Bavinck. A reformed approach to apologetics would require Harris to ground her position in Scripture, rather than relying solely on humanistic notions of justice and equality. Furthermore, Harris's critique of Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election results strikes a chord with the Reformed tradition's emphasis on biblical authority. However, in her response, Harris fails to offer any clear theological basis for her opposition to Trump's actions, instead relying on partisan rhetoric, Van Til. A more nuanced and biblically grounded approach would involve demonstrating how Trump's actions contradict specific biblical principles, such as the importance of respecting the rule of law, Hodge. In conclusion, while Harris's speech contains some admirable aspirations for justice and equality, it ultimately falls short of a reformed apologetic approach. By failing to ground her views in Scripture and relying instead on humanistic notions of morality, Harris risks perpetuating a worldview that is fundamentally at odds with the biblical vision presented in Van Til's work. It is worth noting, however, that this critique should not be understood as an attempt to dismiss Harris's concerns or values out of hand. Rather, it represents a call for a more thoughtful and biblically grounded approach to apologetics, one that prioritizes the authority of Scripture in all matters, including social and political issues. Only by engaging with these complex questions through the lens of Reformed theology can we hope to arrive at a deeper understanding of justice, equality, and dignity as rooted in Scripture. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Cultural Apologists React. Be sure to come back tomorrow for a new take on the day's news from the standpoint of Christian cultural apologetics.